again, this is completely divorced from ideology. There are really two things that you look for from what I look for from Democratic Congress people, or, for that matter, independent, non-aligned Congress people. One is, I want them to be as far left as they can be in the context of our Congress. The other thing, though, which is a completely distinct from ideology, is the idea that they have political opponents who they must make pay a price for every mistake in every position that they hold that is vulnerable to being exploited by you as a Democratic or an independent congressperson. And the Democratic Party is led by a cohort of a specific generation, I would argue, who entered politics at a time where there was a lot more sort of like fear of drawing a distinction, a lot more fear of breaking norms, a lot more fear of coming off as a partisan fighter. And so you have things like Joe Biden, still feeling we need to show bipartisanship. That's why I'm convinced Build Back Better failed in the way that it did. I mean, we ended up getting the IRA, I get it, which definitely did some good things. But after the American Rescue Act passed in early 2021, Joe Biden had the opportunity to basically floor it, put the pedal to the metal, as it were, at a time where Joe Manchin was saying, like, maybe we need $6 trillion bill instead of a $4 trillion bill. Before Joe Manchin could actually sort of, put his finger in the air and hear from his paymasters, essentially, what they wanted, and before they could organize it, Joe Biden fiddled and diddled, invited Republicans into the White House, and invited Kristen Sinema to come into the White House with Portman and come up with all these different ideas that just act as a way of slowing things down and giving opponents a chance to line their ducks up. Do we have these clips?
I have a bunch of clips. It just depends on what you want.
Okay, let's play this AOC clip from the impeachment hearings. This is day one. And again, this is under the backdrop of their the two sort of like star witnesses that the Republicans had brought in for their impeachment hearing. And it's as if they had not like ever met these people before. Jonathan Turley was one. The other one, his name escapes me at the moment.
Bruce Dubinsky?
Yeah, Dubinsky. And both of them said, here's what Dubinsky said. Dubinsky said, more information needs to be gathered before I can make such an assessment about whether there should be an impeachment or not. And Turley said, I do not believe that the current evidence would support articles of impeachment. In other words, like, these are the star witnesses coming in and saying, like, you guys, cart, horse, this is a nothing burger. Here's AOC.
Called in 3 witnesses to advance their case. Mr. Turley, I have a simple question for you. In your testimony today, are you presenting any firsthand witness account of crimes committed by the President of the United States?
No, I'm not.
No, you are not. Ms. O'Connor, you are the second Republican witness here today. Have you, in your testimony, presented any firsthand witness account of crimes committed by the President of the United States?
I have not.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Dubinsky, as the third and final Republican witness in this hearing, have you, in your testimony, presented any firsthand witness account of crimes committed by the President of the United States?
I have not.
And Professor Gerhardt, given that you are the minority witness, I assume the same, correct?
I'm not a fact witness, correct.
Thank you. And to clarify, 2 individuals presented today who do have firsthand accounts surrounding the progeny of these allegations are being blocked from testifying by the Republican majority. And I want to explain why this is important. Members of Congress, all of us in this hearing, are not under oath, as we are presently covered by the speech and debate clause. Isn't that correct, Professor Gerhardt?
That is correct.
And the speech and debate clause covers all statements by a member of Congress, whether they are factual or not. There are only 4 people in this room that are presently under oath in their testimony. And those are the 4 witnesses here today. Is that correct, Professor Gerhardt?
That is correct.
And so the direct testimony of the 4 individual witnesses here today are the bona fide words that this committee must use in order to proceed or substantiate an investigation. And I want to emphasize why that's important. Earlier today,
I mean, there you have it. I mean, she's basically just saying they're just up here lying. And
the people that can't lie
and
can't say what they want
the
to
people
say.
who can't lie are saying, like, what are we doing here? Here is Max Frost of Florida talking to these witnesses.
Inquiry is a grave undertaking that is supposed to be in response to evidence of a crime. Mr. Chairman, you have questions. Many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle in this hearing have questions, but questions are not the basis for an impeachment. Evidence is. Mr. Turley, on September 1st.
Pause it for 1 second. I mean, just look at this. Here's a freshman congressperson. Keep that up. Keep that image up there. Keep the image up there. And he's taking his time. Like, I mean, this is someone who understands partisan politics. Is first, he's been in Congress for what? I don't know, 18 months or so, whatever it is, a year. Maybe not even 10 months. And he understands like what the message is. The message is we're here doing BS, and right here on my iPad is exactly the only thing that's really relevant to anything that we should be doing here. And he's just reminding people to it. I mean, it's just like the savvy, regardless of what you think of its politics, one way or another. His politics are better, in my estimation, than most in Congress. But regardless of what you think of that, just in terms of like being effective in conveying a message, that's right there. Continue.
For an impeachment, evidence is. Mr. Turley, on September 1st, Speaker Kevin McCarthy said that he would not launch a fake impeachment inquiry, a sham impeachment inquiry. But then on September 12th, just 12 days later, he completely changed his mind. My question is why? In those 12 days, did hard evidence appear that clearly and directly links the President of the United States, Joe Biden, to a crime?
I can't answer as to what was it that pushed the speaker to make the decision. The courts have said you don't have to have that vote on the floor. I think it is a best practice. But
I'm very interested in those 12 days. And we know you're not a fact witness and you're talking about things that are already public. But is there anything that came up in those 12 days that linked the President of the United States to a crime? Yes or no?
I don't have any recollection of those 12 days.
Yeah, nothing. I can tell you it's nothing. And we've heard even from you that this is why we have this impeachment inquiry. But let's be clear, this inquiry has been going on since the day we got here. Since the day I was sworn in at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night, this impeachment inquiry started. Let's pull back the curtain on what's really going on. There's no evidence of crime, only desperation and political pressure. This is what's going on. The far right called for the sham impeachment hearing with no evidence at the beginning of this year when we first got started. This impeachment inquiry has been going on. This is not the first hearing we've had in relation to this. On September 1st, the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, says, no, we're not going to do that. We don't have the evidence. We don't have the votes for it to pass on the House floor. We're not going to do it. A good decision, in my opinion. But then just 12 days later, 12 precious days later, something happens. I'm not sure what, but something happens because then the Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, comes out and says, yes, we will do an impeachment inquiry. So what happened between these 12 days? It's very simple. 3 threats from members of his own caucus at the direction of former President Donald Trump changed his mind. Number one, the threat to force a vote on impeachment, which would lose on the House floor and be another embarrassment in the long list of embarrassments this Congress for the Speaker of the House. Number two, they would threat to shut down the government, something that will happen in just 2 days. And number three, and this is the one that really got to him, they said, you about to lose your job. And they said, we will remove you as Speaker from the House. And that scared him so much that Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House of the United States of Representatives, third in line of the presidency, completely caved due to the threats of people within his own caucus. This fake impeachment is based on desperate political calculation, not any evidence. And Mr. Chairman, you say this hearing is to
I mean, there you have it. And let's just do a final clip here. This is Jasmine Crockett from Texas. I'm not sure which district she's in.
I think Dallas area is my recollection.
She has an interesting description of, she's talking about Donald Trump. This is the one where she's talking about Donald Trump stuff hidden in his commode, I guess, but she has a different word for it.
Where he clearly states, quote, the brand was Washington, D.C., not President Biden. He was asked, the brand was really Joe Biden, and Mr. Archer responded, I guess it's a reminder.
So Chair recognizes Ms. Crockett from Texas.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Before I begin my questioning, I want to remind everyone that the information recorded in the FBI Form 1023 that my Republican colleagues keep citing is not evidence of anything. This form reflects years-old, secondhand, unverified information from a Ukrainian oligarch as relayed to the FBI by a confidential human source. These unverified secondhand allegations have been repeatedly debunked and undermined, including by the confidential human source who relayed this information to the FBI. The tip recorded in the Form 1023 was thoroughly explored by the U.S. attorney handpicked by Donald Trump, which was Attorney General William Barr, and the assessment was closed. Finally, Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's former business partner who worked with the Ukrainian oligarch in question, told this committee in a transcribed interview in July that he had no knowledge of any such payments allegedly described in this form. Repeating the same lies will not somehow turn them into truths. Kind of like the election that Trump lost. Say it with me, he lost it. Repeating the same lie that he won wasn't going to turn the election around. The lost in this chamber keep pushing lies and lunacy on behalf of a multi-time loser. So if we're going to talk about China, let's go ahead and talk about China, and let's talk about the dealings. And let me point out the fact that right now, each of you has admitted that none of you are fact witnesses. We walked in without facts, and unfortunately, because what we say isn't necessarily evidence, we have wasted the American people's time, and we are going to walk out of this chamber, and we still have no facts that are leading to anything. But let me give y'all a little bit of tea while we're here. So I have a document that I will ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record. It's a fact sheet on President Trump's shady business dealings with the Chinese government.
What are you entering in? A record from who?
This is from the Congressional Integrity.
Congressional Integrity Project, the dark money pack?
I object.
I object to that too.
Of course y'all gonna object, but we gonna talk about it. So it says Trump has extensive financial ties to the Chinese government. President Trump collected millions from Chinese government-owned entities while in office. I have the best tenants in the world, President Trump was well aware of the multi-million-dollar lease to Chinese interests. President Trump promised to donate foreign government profits while in office, but he donated less than a third of his proceeds from the Chinese government. President Trump maintained 3 foreign bank accounts while in office, including one in China. President Trump's business with China raised legal and ethical concerns. But when we start talking about things that look like evidence.
Let's go to that. Let's go to that short. She wrapped it up with images of Trump's storing documents in his bathroom. And here is that clip.
President of the United States has committed. But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the shitter to me. This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets, 7 counts related to obstructing the investigation, 3 false statements, 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, falsifying business records, conspiracy to defraud the United States, 2 counts related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings, 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights, 23 counts related to forgery or false document statements, 8 counts related to soliciting, and I could go on because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And I will yield.
That was pretty good. You know what's also, what you can tell here is that this type of it's whataboutism, right?
Yeah, they need something because of all the stuff against Trump.
Well, no, but my point is it's whataboutism, obviously, from the Republicans. I mean, they're doing this because they want to distract. I mean, you cannot cleanse Donald Trump. And I think there was another guy who had a scoreboard, and he said 63 indictments, 2 impeachments, whatever it is. You can't put a 0 in Trump's column, so you try and add to Biden's column. And that's obvious. But the Democrats are getting away with their own whataboutism here, in the sense of Donald Trump did this, Donald Trump did that. And the reason why they're able to so easily do that is because they don't have to address anything that's been brought up about Biden, because they're at a hearing and there's no witnesses making any charges against Biden. Not only are there no witnesses making any charges, there's no witnesses providing any fact testimony. Not only are there no witnesses providing any fact testimony, the analysts that the Republicans brought in said, as far as we can tell, there's no evidence here. I mean, it really is astonishing.
Yeah.
And, the Democrats should have pushed, let's put this on primetime. These are impeachment hearings. This is important. Let's put this on primetime. It really is stunning.
I do appreciate this other moment from Maxwell Frost here, where he shows a bunch of disrespect to these witnesses, and they are scandalized by it, which, that's exactly what you love to see. All
right, let's see this.
We have one witness who has a lot of questions, Ms. O'Connor. Dubinsky, one witness who knows something about accounting but has no real involvement in what's going on. And Mr. Turley stopping here on his way to his next Fox News hit. This is not a serious inquiry. And we have one.
That's quite fun.
Just upset on behalf of Turley.
Yeah.
How dare you to question
Yeah,
Jonathan Turley's honor?
And that just goes more to my point of look, this is theater. Make no mistake about it. This is 100% theater. I mean, impeachment is a political process, and you need to be able to make a case so that the American public, sort of buys into this thing. Whether you're Democrats or Republicans, the same sort of pressure was on Democrats when they were impeaching Donald Trump. If they had done, impeachment really hurt the Republicans, or helped Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton got into office in 92 with 45% of the vote. Because of impeachment, he left with a 60% approval rating. And the younger Democrats understand what this game is. They don't have any compunction mocking the witnesses here. They remember what happened to witnesses against, in the Kavanaugh hearings. They remember and they understand that every time they don't rise to that same level, they lose. Vermont Ben, has the meaning of impeachment been degraded? I don't think so, because they're not going to impeach Joe Biden. They're going to try, but I don't think they're going to, because this is what's really important here too, is understand like what this is at the end of the day all about. It's about 2 or 3 members of the New York caucus who are Republicans who are going to have to go back to their constituents and just sort of justify this. And I don't know, 4 or 5 in California, and maybe a handful around the country. There may be 15 Republicans who are so-called like frontline.
Right, it's like some of the Orange County area ones, the New York State ones, and then like a few, like you said, like Don Bacon in Nebraska, et cetera.
There's a couple who are going to have to justify this,
right.
And by making it about Republicans and making it about Kevin McCarthy and about they are setting up the challengers to these candidates to say, it doesn't matter what you say. The fact is, you have an R behind your name, and you support the Republican leadership, and this is what the Republican leadership is giving us. They shut down the government. God knows how long it's going to be. Immiserating hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people in one fashion or another, costing billions of dollars. And they're wasting this time with this garbage. And they got nothing.